X-Cub isn't limited to hard surfaces. We can experience the glorious Alaskan landscape all the more with our water-going capabilities. To get started, let's look at a basic water takeoff. It's much more difficult to accelerate when in water, so you want to get as much lift as possible as quickly as you can. To reduce our takeoff run, use the second notch of flaps. Set the flaps to their second notch position. All right, we have the water rudder retracted and the gear is up. Go ahead and increase RPM lever to 100%. Now give it full throttle to get us moving. Use the rudder to aim for the gap between the island up ahead and the shoreline. Lift the nose just a little after 38 knots to get airborne. That's it. Now reduce the flaps to their first notch position. Now we can retract the flaps completely. Good. Keep us climbing straight ahead, aiming for about 68 knots to get the best climb rate. Flying brings a number of great do anything, go anywhere possibilities. We're going to land on the lake up ahead, so let's start getting ready. Bring the throttle all the way back to idle. Set idle power to slow down. Maintain your attitude and let the speed drop below 70 knots. Great. Now extend the flaps to their first notch position.
Here's up for water landing. Here's up for water landing. Here's up for water landing.
Now extend the flaps to their second notch position.
Here's up for water landing.
Great. Now keep the power low and aim for 50 to 60 knots.
Here's up for water landing.
A little movement of the water is helpful as super calm conditions make it harder to judge our height.
Here's up for water landing.
Now we simply come in a lot like a runway landing, keeping our speed nice and low, and touching down with a minimum descent rate.
Gears up for water landing.
Aim for a nice smooth touchdown in the center of the lake.
Gears up for water landing. Gears up for water landing. Gears up for water landing. Gears up for water landing.
Once on the water, the aircraft will slow hydrodynamically.
Gears up for water landing. 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 Gears up.
I think a bit more practice may be a good idea.
Gears up for water landing.
Flying has its own set of hazards and requires its own set of specialized skills. Mountainous terrain, especially at high altitude, often creates dangerous turbulence, even when conditions appear dead calm. Fly on the right-hand side of the valley ahead, maintaining 2,000 feet altitude and 100 knots airspeed. Air flows over mountains like water does over rocks, conforming to the topography both on the upside and the downside. Air forced up the side of a mountain by wind creates updrafts, often unpredictable ones. Let's ride this wave of rising air and soar along these ridges like eagles. With the wind out of our left-hand side, fly just above the right side edge of the valley to ride the updraft. Now that we're flying alongside the valley wall, you'll start to feel the aircraft want to gain altitude. Maintaining altitude needs a slightly lower pitch attitude than usual. We're now ridge soaring like an eagle. Turbulence often comes with updrafts, so prepare for the going to get a little rough. Try to stay in the rising air to get a good feel for it. As we reach the gap in the mountain wall on our right side, the updraft will level off and then ramp up again when we reach the other side of the gap. There's room for improvement. Now it's time for something more wild and challenging than just a run-of-the-mill takeoff. Not all runways are long, flat, and clear of debris. Let's try taking to the sky from a more rugged surface. With the brakes applied, go ahead and increase power to full throttle. It's a little more difficult to keep straight during the takeoff roll on a loose surface such as gravel, as you lose some steering control. Go ahead and set full throttle. Excellent. The engine instruments are all in the green. Now release the brakes and we'll get going. Rotate at 40 knots. Now smoothly raise the nose to 15 degrees. Now that we're safely off the ground, go ahead and retract the landing gear. Maintain a 15 degrees, nose-up attitude to hold a climbing airspeed of 68 knots. Now retract the flaps to improve our climb rate. Great. Now keep on climbing straight ahead. Pull the nose up a little more for a good climb rate. You let the speed get too high. Great. That's the short field takeoff in a nutshell. Now that you've taken off from a gravel runway, let's try landing on one. For this short field landing, the terrain dictates that we need to approach at an angle. Start by deploying the landing gear and get ready for our approach.
Here's up the runway.
Short runways require an early touchdown and full flaps to minimize our rollout so we don't run out of runway. Next, fully extend the flaps. Go ahead and fully extend the flaps. Great. Aim for an approach speed of 55 knots. close to the beginning of the runway, so we have the longest roll possible, but be careful not to undershoot it. Cut the power just before touching down for a nice, smooth landing. Once we touch down, apply the brakes to bring us to a stop. You nailed the landing. The procedure is more challenging than at a larger airport, but being able to land on short and unimproved runways like this one opens up more possibilities for your adventures.
Down for runway landing.
As you soar along a ridge. Aim for 2,000 feet, this time keeping over to the left side of the valley, putting us on the downwind side of the mountains. The opposite of an updraft is a downdraft, where air spills over a mountain or ridge and descends down this backside slope. Keep over to the left side, and you'll feel how you need to fight to maintain altitude. So keep a high power setting and watch the altimeter and be ready to work the controls, especially the elevator. If it gets too much, make a gentle turn to the right towards the middle of the valley. This will take you out of the downdraft. Now that you've experienced a downdraft, you'll know how to react the next time you encounter one while